Welcome, dear viewers, to a place where shadows dance and whispers echo with the terror of forgotten souls. This is our sanctuary, a space carved from the heart of darkness to bring you tales that will chill you to your very core. Tonight, we descend into the abyss of forgotten childhoods, into the cold, echoing halls of haunted orphanages. 3 stories await, each one a glimpse into the despair and terror that linger within those crumbling walls. Turn off the lights if you dare, and let the darkness consume you as we unravel these chilling tales. Nestled among rolling hills, shrouded in a perpetual mist, stood St. Mary's Orphanage. A once grand Victorian mansion, now weathered and forlorn, its crumbling facade hinted at the darkness that festered within. The children of St. Mary's spoke of voices, hushed and chilling, that seeped from the very walls. One boy, a timid soul named Samuel, swore he saw faces contorted in agony peering from the peeling wallpaper. He tried to tell the caretakers, but they dismissed his claims as childish fantasies. Years ago, a fire swept through St. Mary's, claiming the lives of dozens of children. The fire was said to have been started by a disturbed young girl, driven mad by the cruelty she endured within the orphanage walls. Now her tormented spirit, along with the innocent souls lost that night, was said to roam the halls. One night, as a storm battered the orphanage, Samuel found himself alone in the darkened dormitory. The wind howled, rattling the windows. Suddenly the whispers began, louder and closer than before. Trembling with fear, Samuel pressed himself against the opposite wall. He could hear his name, hissed in a chorus of voices, beckoning him closer. As the storm raged, the whispers grew louder until they were all Samuel could hear. Then, as suddenly as they began, the whispers stopped. Silence descended, broken only by Samuel's ragged breathing. From that night forward, Samuel refused to sleep alone. Whatever his fate, Samuel's story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the most innocent of places. The old Seacliff Orphanage stood on a windswept cliff, overlooking the relentless crashing waves of the Atlantic. Even on the sunniest day, a palpable chill clung to the building, a ghostly residue of its tragic past. The children who resided within its walls spoke in hushed whispers of the ghostly caretaker, a spectral figure who roamed the halls at night. The caretaker, a kind and gentle man named William, had dedicated his life to the orphans of Seacliff. He treated each child with love and compassion, striving to provide them with the warmth and security they so desperately craved. But William harbored a secret, a darkness that gnawed at his soul. One stormy night, as William made his rounds checking on the children, tragedy struck. A fire erupted in the dormitory, fueled by the howling winds and dry timber. William, without hesitation, rushed into the inferno, determined to save the children trapped within. He pulled child after child from the flames, his own safety forgotten. But the fire was relentless and the roof collapsed, burying William and several children beneath burning debris. In the aftermath, the surviving orphans whispered of a shadowy figure that roamed the halls at night. They described a man in a tattered caretaker's uniform, his face obscured by smoke and ash. One girl, a sensitive child named Lily, claimed to have seen William most often. He would appear to her at night, his spectral hand resting gently on her shoulder, his voice a low, comforting murmur. At first, Lily found comfort in William's presence. But as the weeks turned into months, William's visits took on a more sinister tone. His touch, once comforting, now sent shivers down Lily's spine. Determined to help William find peace, Lily began to investigate the fire. Her search led her to a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards of the old dormitory. Inside, she discovered a small wooden box, its surface charred and blackened with age. With trembling hands, Lily opened the box. Inside, nestled among faded photographs and handwritten letters, lay a collection of small, bone-white pebbles. Lily realized with a sickening certainty that these were not pebbles at all, but fragments of bone. That night, Lily gathered the other orphans in the old dormitory. Together they held a makeshift memorial service, placing the box of bones in the center of the room, surrounded by flickering candles. As the last candle flickered and died, a cold wind swept through the room, and the presence vanished. Lily knew with a certainty that transcended words that William was finally at peace. Deep in the heart of the city, shrouded in perpetual shadow cast by towering buildings, stood the bleak and imposing Blackwood Orphanage. It was a place of sorrow, where forgotten children spent their days longing for a kindness they seldom received. Within its walls, whispered rumors circulated about a cursed doll, a seemingly innocuous plaything that held a dark and malevolent power. The doll, a porcelain figure with rosy cheeks, ruby lips, and vacant blue eyes, had been a fixture at Blackwood for as long as anyone could remember. It sat upon a dusty shelf in the orphanage's dimly lit playroom, its once vibrant dress now faded and threadbare. The children spoke of the doll in hushed tones, their voices barely above a whisper. They claimed that its eyes followed them, watching their every move, and that it whispered their names at night. They said that the doll brought misfortune to anyone who dared to touch it. One boy, a troubled and withdrawn child named Thomas, became fixated on the doll. He was drawn to its eerie beauty, its vacant stare seeming to beckon him closer. He would spend hours in the playroom, staring at the doll, whispering his secrets to its unhearing ears. The other children warned Thomas to leave the doll alone, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. He had become convinced that the doll held the key to escaping his miserable existence. He began to steal away to the playroom at night, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. He would sit in the darkness, the doll propped up on his lap, its cold porcelain pressing against his skin. At first nothing happened, but then one night, as Thomas sat alone in the darkness, he felt a shift in the air. The temperature plummeted, and a cold wind seemed to swirl around him. He looked down at the doll, and his blood ran cold. The doll's eyes, once vacant and lifeless, now glowed with an eerie, malevolent light. Terror gripped Thomas's heart, but he was frozen in place, unable to move. The doll's lips curled into a cruel smile, and a voice whispered directly into his ear, "You have awakened me, child. Now you are mine." From that night forward, Thomas was never the same. He became withdrawn, his eyes haunted by a fear that none could comprehend. He refused to speak of the doll or the events of that night, but the other children could see the change in him. He was a shell of his former self, his spirit seemingly broken. One stormy night, Thomas made a desperate decision. He could no longer bear the torment and fled the orphanage, the storm mirroring the turmoil within him. He ran through the darkened streets until he reached the bridge that spanned the river. With a final, desperate cry, Thomas hurled the doll over the bridge, watching as it plummeted into the dark water below. As we close the book on these chilling tales, remember that the line between reality and nightmare is thin, easily blurred by the whispers of the unknown. The stories of haunted orphanages serve as chilling reminders that even in the most innocent of places, darkness can linger. We thank you for braving the shadows with us tonight. Your presence, your willingness to confront the unknown is what fuels our passion for the macabre. Until next time, keep a light burning against the darkness, and may your dreams be free of echoing whispers and chilling laughter.